Hi, this is a webinar on how to create a custom report card using the Custom Reports tool in the ThinkWave system. A custom report can be complex since there are so many ways to customize it. But a completely custom report is worth the work. In this video and another video we have for creating custom transcripts, we will walk you through how to create a custom report so that you have all the tools you need to create it on your own. First, we'll go to the Reports tab and click on the Custom Reports link. Then here, click on the Add Report button on the top left. We'll call this Report Card Demo. The pull-down allows you to select if you want the report to be one student per page or a single multi-page report. And finally, you can select here if you want to display it as portrait or landscape. There are two main tools for customizing the report. The first one is the layout. This is how the report is displayed. The second is widgets. These are the content that's displayed in the report. I'll get to that in a second. Here in the layout, the report is laid out in 12 visual segments, both horizontally and vertically. For this report, we'll have it display as one continuous flow of information, like a scroll. The custom transcript video goes into how to construct the report in segments. So here, for the first row, we will have this row take up a full 12/12ths of a page. We'll do the same for the cell. We'll put a blank cell in the widget here for now and click Save. Now let's create the first widget. Select the widget subtab at the top here. Here we have the name. For this, we'll call it Report Title. And here we select what type of widget you want to create. You have the choice between a table, text, image, column, row, and some special function widgets that we'll get to in a second. For this, we'll create a table widget. This is the most versatile of widgets. This pull-down allows you to select where you want to save the widget, then select Save. For the widget, you have all the settings here. Here's the number of columns and the rows. For this one, we'll only need one row and one column. And back up here, you have the option to skip rows if the field is blank. Here's the general options like alignment, the border options, and padding for the widget. Remember, down here at the bottom, to make sure that the columns add up to 12. Since we'll only need one column, we'll make the first one 12 and the other two 0. Down here you have the cells for the content in the widget. You can either type the information in directly or use a merge function. The merge functions are highly customizable commands that allow you to set up the automations to display different data. At the bottom of every widget screen, there's instructions for the merge functions, with details on how to modify them further. As you can see, there are definitions for the modifiers. Then below is a list of most of the merge fields that you'll ever need. The basic command is on the left, then the description, then the variables that allows you to modify them, and finally the samples here on the right. You can use the samples to copy and paste the merge fields while continuing to modify them further. This will make more sense as we use them to build the report. For this widget, we're going to want to display the report title. For now, we can just type in Report Card in the cell and click Save. So now let's go back to the layout and put in the newly created Report Title widget in the cell. Click Save and let's preview it. There's a button for previewing up at the top right, but since this will only preview the widget you're looking directly at, I find it's faster to have another tab open to the custom reports in ThinkWave. That way you can quickly generate a report while you're customizing it to make sure you're getting it to look just right. So from here, open a new tab in ThinkWave and go to the Reports tab, and under Custom Reports, select Report Card Demo. Then select the student that you know has information in their profile, then click Generate. As you can see here, there's the report header. It's kind of small and left justified, so let's go back to the Report Title widget. See, this is how it works. To get it to look just right, you'll have to adjust it here and there and check the preview to make sure it looks just the way you want it. I find it's easier to think of it like a puzzle, constantly having to try pieces and modify them and going back and forth. Back here at the Report Title widget, let's make it right justified. and let's make it larger by selecting Heading 1 in the pull-down menu. Click Save and let's go back and check the preview. At the top left, click Customize this report. Select the student again and click Generate. Now that looks much better. Next, we're going to want to add the student name and address, so let's go back and create another widget. Let's call this Student Address and make it a table. For this, we're only going to need one column, but we'll keep the 4 rows. For this, we'll want the information to be automatically pulled, so we're going to be using the merge functions. Let's go down and find the functions for the student info. Here we go, the student name. Copy and paste that into the cell. Then do the same for the student address. And since this is going to pull info for different students who may have a second address line, this is a good opportunity to utilize the skip row option. That way you can add the merge functions for the student address line too, and it'll display if the student has a second line, but skip it if they don't. It's all done automatically. Just add the student address line too and select skip row if any merge fields are blank here. When you're finished putting in the student address merge functions, click Save. Now we're going to want to add this new widget to the overall report card. So we're going to have to create a column where we add all the widgets stacked. Click the Add Widget. Let's call this Report Card Column. Then make it a column. Now here we can add all the widgets we create to display in the report, and they will be displayed in this order. Let's add report title first, then let's add a half space, and now let's add a couple more widgets. You can add as many as you need here. Now let's add a horizontal rule so we have a nice divide. Then add student address and click Save. Now let's see how it looks. Well, it still just has the title. It seems we forgot to add the column to the main report. No big deal. Everything in this report can be changed on the fly, so you can't really make a mistake. Let's go back to the layout and replace the report title with the report card column widget. Click Save and let's check it again. Now it's displaying the address. It doesn't look too bad, but it's kind of small and there's no space between the line. So let's go back to the student address widget. You can find the student address widget on the left menu here by clicking on the little arrow next to report card column. Or a quick way to access the widgets is from the report card column is by clicking on the edit icon to the right of the widget. Now let's make the address a little larger. If you want the lines to be a different size, you can select the size of the pull-down menu on the right. But if you want the whole column to have the same size, you can select it from the bottom. Let's select Body Larger Size. Click Save and let's see how it looks. Now that looks much better. We can adjust the look and the style more, but we'll move on for now. Now we'll add the classes and grades to the report. We'll start by creating a new widget. We'll call this Class Cycler and select the Class Cycler widget. And here you have the option of what kind of sorting you want, the filters you want, and any tags that you want. Down here you have the widget list. For this we're going to have to create a Class Grades widget. We'll call it Class Grades and make it a table. Now first we have to determine how many terms we want it to display. For this demo, we'll take a look at how many terms that we have in the system by going to the Setup tab, and under Schedules, click on Terms and Subterms. We're not going to include the finals. So, with both semesters and all 4 quarters, there's a total of 6 terms to display. So let's go back to the Class Grades widget, and since we're going to want to display the class name as well, we'll need a total of 7 columns and 1 row. The columns still have to add up to 12, but if we need a little more leeway here, in max columns we can multiply the amount to give us a little more control. So for instance, if we need a lot of control, we can select 5 times And now the margins of the columns will be divided by 60 instead of 12. We'll do that for now and make sure you save. We'll want the margin on the first cell to have the class name, so we'll make that an 18. That gives us 42 left to divide equally by 6, so 7 for the rest of the columns. Click Save. The system will remind you if your math is off. Now for the first cell, we're going to want the class name. So go down to the merge functions and copy and paste the command for that. For the grades, we're going to need some modifiers. So let's go down to Final Grades. The modified example here will cover most of what we need, but we'll still need to modify it a little bit. So copy and paste the whole line into the second cell. Now the first thing we're going to want to modify is the term selection. The example uses term 2. But for the first one, of course, we're going to want term 1. Also, we want the grade to display as a letter grade, even if it's a %. So let's take out the pipe, %:true. The rest of the commands look good. You can see the descriptions of each of the command at the bottom. Now that we have the first command in place, let's copy and paste the command into the rest of the columns. Make sure you change the term number for each one. Now save. Before we can check it, we'll have to add it to the class cycler. Then add the class cycler to the report card column. First, let's add a half space, then a normal horizontal rule. Then finally the class cycler. Now save and let's check it. Now as you can see, there's a pull-down menu for each term, so we'll have to manually select each one. Then select a student and click Generate. Now there's all the grades, but it's a bit close to the line, and you can't really tell which class is for which term. So let's create a header. And this is how it goes. You'll have to go back and forth fine-tuning the report to get it to look just the way you want it to. Now let's go back and create a widget for the header. For this, we can clone the class grades widget, since it already has the same number of columns and rows. And we'll call it class grades header. And for the first cell, we can just type in course name. For the rest of the cells, we're going to need a merger function. So go down to the term name. Here the example is term, pipe, term, underscore, SEL, select, underscore, term. Copy and paste it into the cell. Since we already have the terms chosen for the grades, we can remove the select underscore, then just add _1 after the term. So it'll look like this. Now copy and paste it into the rest of the cells, replacing the 1 for 2, and so on. We're also going to want it a little larger, so select H2 for the whole row. Now let's save. Now let's go to the report cards column and add the new class grades header widget, then add the class cycler widget. Add another half space and a normal horizontal rule. Then add the class cycler. Save and let's check it. There, that looks good. Now here we can add the graded skills, so let's go back and create a new widget. We'll call this Skills Cycler and make it a Skill Cycler. Here we have the option to omit skills or create a skills header. We'll skip that for now. Now we need to create a class skills widget. Since this is going to be similar to the grades widget, let's clone that. We'll call this skills grades, and for the first cell, we're going to want the skills name. So let's go down and find that in the merge fields. Here we are. For the next field, let's go back down and look at the modifiers. Here we have skill grade, and let's add term select 1, round 0, and strip zeros true. At this point, you're probably starting to see a pattern in the merge fields. You can modify most of them with the same basic commands. So for this, we're going to type in skill underscore grade pipe term underscore SEL colon term underscore 1 pipe round colon 0 pipe strip underscore zeros colon true, all within the brackets. Then let's copy and paste it into each column, changing the 1 to a 2 and so on. Then click Save. And now let's go back to the Skills Cycler and add the new Skills widget. Then go back to the Class Cycler and add the skills below the class grades. Then click Save, and let's see how that looks. The skills now appear under the classes, but it's a little hard to tell them apart. So let's go back to the Skills widget. Let's add some space in the front of the skills name to give it a little indent. Then click Save and check it again. That looks good. Now let's add the comments to the bottom of the report card. Go back and create a new widget for comments. We'll call this Class Comment Block. And select Text here. Then here we're going to want to use a merge function. Go down and find Final Comment, then select the sample line and copy and paste it. Then click Save. Create another widget, and we'll call this Class Comment Cycler. And we'll make it a class cycler. We'll select the Class Comment block for the widget. Save, and then we'll add this to the bottom of the report card column. Maybe add a single space between Class Cycler and Comment block. Click Save and let's check it. Now we have a selection pull-down for the comments block. Make sure you choose a term that has comments when you're testing. And there we are, comments at the bottom. But now this doesn't tell you what class the comments come from. So let's go back and add the class name. Go to the Class Comment block. Then add the class name in front. Let's make it stand out a bit more by making it bold. Just type $B, another caret, then class name merge field, then caret, /B, and caret. Click Save and let's take a look. Now the names are there, but it shows every class even if there's no comment. So let's go back to the comment text block and choose Skip Text Block if any merge field is blank. Save and let's check it again. It looks good. Now let's say we want to add a general report header. Let's go back and create a new widget. We'll call this Report Header and make it a row. We'll have to select the width for each row. So let's make the first one 2 and add the school logo, which is a default widget. Then we'll make the next widget 8 and the last one 2. We'll have to select blank cells for each while we create the widgets. Then for the second one, we'll create a new school address widget. We need a table with 1 column and 4 rows. Since this will be just like the student address, but with the school information instead, we can just clone the student address widget to save time. Just swap out student for school in the merge function. Then click Save. Then add it to the header. Now let's create a table widget called Report Date. We only need 1 column and 1 row. So for this, we'll use a merge function modifiers. Let's go down and find the date options. We'll use user date and copy and paste that into the cell. Then go back down, and on the right there's the modifiers. There's one for date select. Go back to the cell, and inside the brackets after the user date, type pipe date underscore SEL select underscore print underscore date, all within the brackets. Make it right justified, and H2, then add a little padding to the right. Save and add it to the header widget. Now we'll have to go back to the report column widget and add it to the top. That means we're going to have to move everything down, and while we're at it, let's also add an extra half space and a regular horizontal rule. Once you get everything in place, let's check it out. Now there's a place where you have to select the date for the report. Select the date and click Generate. There you go. Now let's say that we want to add some information from a custom field below the student, such as a date of birth. Let's add a new table widget called Date of Birth. We only need one row and one column. We'll put it all in one cell so it lines up better. First type in date of birth with a colon, then a couple spaces. Then we'll add the merge field. This will come from a custom field from the Student tab. So here we have the custom field student. There's also a custom field class if the information is relevant to the class as a whole. Let's copy the modifier example. Luckily, it's already set for a date of birth. Now click Save and go back to the report card column. And add a new widget and select the newly created widget Date of Birth underneath the student address. Now let's go to the Reports generator. And there's a new pull-down menu for Date of Birth, but we still have to create a custom field for Date of Birth. To do this, go to the Students tab, and at the top right, select Customize and New Custom Field. Name it Date of Birth, have it apply to all students, and make it a date field. Then click Save. We go into more detail on creating custom fields in another video. Now that it's created, enter the relevant information that would be added. Add the date of birth from the pop-up calendar. Now go back to creating a custom transcript. And from the pull-down menu, select Date of Birth, then click Generate. Now, as you can see here, underneath the student address is the date of birth. Now let's create a quick grade legend. Create a new text widget called Grade Legend. I found a quick way to get the text from the grading scale is to go to the Setup tab and go to the School's Final Grade Scales. Then copy and paste all of them into the text window. You still have to clean it up a little bit, but it'll save you some typing time. Let's also add a grade legend with a colon at the top and make it bold. Now go back to the report card column and add another half space. And a normal horizontal rule. And finally, the grade legend widget. Save, and let's take a look at it. Well, it's not perfect, but you can always tweak it to get it just the way you want it. Now let's add a user-defined window so we can choose the name of the report. We may want to change the title to print off a quick report if we want to use the same template. For instance, we could use this template for an interim report card or a general report card. So let's go back to the report title widget and use a merge function. Go down to the bottom and find the merge function for user input data. Here it is called user text, and you can see there's a modifier for text select. Let's copy this and go back to the cell and paste it in. To modify it, we're going to need to type in after the user text, but inside the brackets. First a pipe, then you type in text underscore SEL colon report underscore name. Now click Save and let's check it. Now there's a window to type in the name of the report. Let's call this report card parentheses interim, and then click Generate. Now we have the option of changing the report as we generate it. There's a lot of other things that you can add to the report, such as photos and attendance records. The widgets and fields allow you endless possibilities, and you can further the look of the report at the Generate screen. Here you can adjust the scaling and here the font. And that's how you create a custom report card using the Reports tool in the ThinkWave system. Thanks for watching.